Sometimes I wake up already feeling behind. Not because anything happened, just because the day is there, waiting. So I tell myself, the answer is simple. Be productive, get moving, do something. Then I try to start, and instead of feeling better, I feel heavier. More pressure, more resistance, more guilt. And now the thing that was supposed to help me feel in control is making me feel worse. I treat productivity like relief. A lot of the time, I'm not trying to be productive because I'm inspired. I'm trying to be productive because I want the discomfort to go away. There is a difference. I've noticed that sometimes I make a to-do list with the energy of a person reaching for a life raft. Not calm, not clear, more like if I can just get enough done, maybe I'll feel okay again. And that's a lot to put on a task list, because now the list isn't just a list, it carries pressure. It's carrying hope. It's carrying that quiet idea that if I do enough, maybe I can outrun the feeling underneath it. That's usually where the heaviness starts. Once I'm in that state, simple things stop feeling simple. An email isn't just an email. Cleaning the kitchen isn't just cleaning the kitchen. Replying to a message isn't just one message. Now it feels like proof. Proof that I'm getting my life together. Proof that I'm not lazy. Proof that I'm not wasting the day. And when ordinary tasks start carrying that kind of weight, of course I resist them. I'm not reacting to the task. I'm reacting to everything I attach to it. I remember one morning opening my laptop before I'd even woken up. I hadn't done anything wrong. The day had barely started, and I already felt late to the party. So I started bouncing between tabs, half reading things, making a list, rewriting the list, checking my phone, going back to the list. And within maybe 20 minutes, I felt strangely exhausted, not from work, but from pressure. What hit me later was this. I was starting it from deficiency, like I already owed the day something. And when I start there, productivity doesn't feel energizing. It feels like catching up to a clock nobody actually set. And you might have felt that too, where the day hasn't even begun and somehow it already feels behind. When I feel that pressure, I usually respond by pushing harder. Come on, just focus, just do it. Why is this so hard? But I've noticed that force doesn't always create momentum. Sometimes it creates more internal friction, because now I'm not only struggling to begin, I'm also judging the struggle. So that task gets harder. Then I get harder on myself. Then starting feels even worse. And then that loop can make a normal afternoon feel weirdly impossible. This is something I forget all the time. Just because something needs to get done doesn't mean I have to access the same kind of energy every day. I can know what matters. I can care about it. I can want to do it and still not have a clear runway internally. I remember sitting down to do one very small thing. It should have taken maybe, 15 minutes. And I just kept staring at it. Not because I didn't understand it, not because I didn't want it done. It felt clogged. And that feeling used to make me think something was wrong with me. Now I think sometimes it's just a sign that capacity and expectation are not meeting each other. That doesn't mean I'm broken. It means I'm human. Sometimes I think I'm failing at productivity when what's really happening is that I'm using productivity to solve a feeling it can't solve. That changes a lot, because if the real feeling underneath is pressure, or fear, or guilt, restlessness, or self-doubt, then doing more won't always create relief. Sometimes it just gives that feeling more material to attach to. I've had days where I kept saying, I just need to keep moving. But when I slowed down enough, to be honest, that wasn't really it. What I actually needed was less internal pressure, a smaller entry point, a different tone. Maybe it's that I'm trying to begin from a state that turns every task into a burden. That's a different problem. And honestly, it's a softer one. There's a version of productivity I think a lot of people are secretly chasing. Not the practical version, the emotional version. The moment where I can finally say, okay, I've done enough. Now I'm allowed to relax. But that line keeps moving. I finish one thing, and instead of relief, my mind goes to the very next thing, then the next, then the thing I forgot, then the bigger question of whether I'm doing enough with my life in general. That's the part that gets slippery. Because now productivity isn't about action anymore. It's about worth. And that game has no finish line, my friends. I remember trying to build a better routine for myself. Wake up early, be more structured, get ahead of the day. All good things in theory, but I noticed the emotional texture underneath it was off. It wasn't, this might help me. It was, maybe if I do this right, I'll finally stop feeling like I'm failing. That's a very different energy. And it explained why even healthy habits start to feel tight, like they weren't supporting me. They were evaluating me. That's such a strange thing when the things meant to help you start to feel like they're tiny judges in your apartment. You might have felt that too when even a good routine starts to feel like a little hostile when it's built on pressure. I'm starting to trust smaller beginnings more, not the dramatic reset, not the giant productive day, just one real thing done honestly. Open a document, wash one plate, send one message, stand up, take a deep breath, clear one corner of my desk. Because when I'm overloaded, what helps isn't pretending I'm full of energy. What helps is reducing the emotional cost of beginning. And weirdly, that often creates more actual movement than all the internal yelling ever did. Not because it's magic, because it's workable. This might be the hardest part to admit. Sometimes the reason productivity makes me feel worse is that I'm not using it as support. I'm using it as self-correction. Like I'm trying to work my way out of shame, organize my way out of uncertainty, accomplish my way into feeling okay. And that's such a brutal setup because no amount of crossed off tasks can fully claim a nervous system that feels under attack from its own expectations. I still want to get things done. That part hasn't changed, but I'm trying to notice when I've turned productivity into punishment. Because the moment I do that, even progress feels bad. And I don't think work is supposed to feel like a courtroom. I don't think the goal is to become a person who feels motivated all the time. I think the goal is to notice the state I'm in before I expect myself to do anything. Because sometimes I'm not resisting the task, I'm resisting the pressure wrapped around the task. And that matters because when I stop treating productivity like proof of worth, it starts becoming simpler again. Just movement, just care, just one thing and then another. And sometimes that's enough to make the day feel a little less heavy. Not perfect, just more possible. I'm Scott Stewart, and you're not crazy.